so we got our parts for our carburetors for the Mad Max vehicle. What was wrong was the pilot jet has plugs in it. That way it can suck gas from the top, from the venturi, instead of from the bowl. And these rubber O-rings went on the main jet, which was a 140, and it actually is just a push-in jet. Well, and of course this one was fine. But we got a local shop here, Weimer Cycles. If anybody knows them, they hooked me right up. The old man there. We couldn't find the parts for a 75. They only have the rebuild kits for the 76, 77, and there is a big difference. So he put new gaskets on the main jets for me, and they are 140s. And he got me these rubber, not plastic, pushing caps, which will go in with a little bit of Vaseline, which is even better because I like it tighter. So we're going to have our carb fix for today. And as I took off the drain, because I was noticing that gas was coming out of one of the bowls, and one of the drain plugs didn't even have a O-ring on it, so he gave me 2 of them too. So Weimer Cycles in Heath, Ohio. Not Newark, Heath, which is the same thing if you live in my area. It's a neighboring city. See, that one needed replaced too. So these are gas type O-rings. Like you can't just put regular O-rings on there. They have to be gas, but even gas ones from 40 years of sitting. However old this bike is. Alright folks, we got it all cleaned up and we got the good parts in. Now it's time for assembly. Start from the bottom. Alright, so we will insert, I guess, the floats first. I like to call this a plunger. This is attached to the float. Your fuel comes in here. When you bowl fills up, the float floats to the top, pushes the plunger in and shuts it off. It just goes in there. These ones are real nice. I like these ones. Again, the same thing. I couldn't get this green stuff off of here. The other one's pretty clean. I don't know what that's about. Apparently there was a little bit of water sitting in this carb at one time, eh? Put your float on. Slide your wrist pin through. Now normally you would have to attach your plunger to a little arm on that, a little spring. But these ones don't work like that. The back of this plunger just gets pushed in. It's got a spring loaded here, I'll take it back out and show you. This is one of very few carburetors that have this. A lot of the other ones just have the spring on the plunger. So a lot of times they'll just attach a spring right here onto this, and it comes up and attaches to the plate on the float. The spring does. Like, not this spring, but this one's spring loaded, so when the float gets fuel and it goes up, it just goes like that, pushes that closed. So I really do like this. It's pretty fancy hardware here for 1975. Again, your float with your wrist pin. Normally you'd be attaching it to the plunger. The wrist pins don't lock in, so get them about even and try not to slide around too much. Okay, now I put Vaseline on these new O-rings like the guy told me. First we're going to start with the emulsion tube. Oh, that wind. Emulsion tube goes in the center out of the 3. Probably my screwdriver. It's really far down in there, you're gonna make a funky screwdriver. I don't like the sound of all that dirt blowing around. What the hell's going on out there? Storm. It's turning to fall. Everything's falling down. That's why they call it fall. This is the emulsion tube. Emulsion tube. What an emulsion tube is, it's got multiple holes in it to disperse the emulsify. I imagine what that means. This one's got 1, 2, 3. That's it. A lot of everything I say don't take for 100%. I'm just guessing. Just guessing it emulsifies. Emulsion tube. All I know is they got multiple holes. Almost every carburetor has them. And then over top of that's going to be a little tiny jet, which I'm going to assume is low speed. Don't do that. I always over tighten everything. Please don't be like me and over tighten everything. Especially in the carburetor. Blow that out, just make sure there's no burrs in it. If your screwdriver does slip, make sure you ain't got no burrs in there and the jet is still unplugged. You don't want your jet plugged up. These are in here. These are the slide sleeves. So when your slide goes down, this needle goes through. It's the guide for that. Every carburetor has those. So over top of the emulsion tube is a very tiny jet that I cannot read. So I'm sorry about that. My eyesight ain't the greatest. That goes right there over top the emulsion tube. Again, don't strip these out. Just get them tight. This time I won't do it. Watch. I'll show you exactly how tight they need to be. That is crazy. That's how you set the idle. This is the pilot jet. Now that I think about it, so I'm sorry about that. This one gets the rubber plug, plastic plug. I got rubber ones now. So not too tight. And then we're going to stick in this other pilot jet. I prefer longer screwdriver, but the short one I already had made for this. A longer handle, I mean, like this. I don't know, not real tight, you know, but make sure you screw them in. Make sure they're... Alright, now these plugs They're not the originals, but I'm pretty sure we can get them down in there. And the old man was right. A little Vaseline and a little elbow grease. You got that sucker down in there, hell yeah. Thank you, Weimers. And I'll show you why I was a little worried. And this is why I used very little Vaseline, but I had to use some. So here's the original size of the plug, which is plastic. And then here's the rubber. So they are bigger. The base of it though starts in, so the Vaseline really helps. So again, that goes over your pilot jet. Now they have these for all carburetors, these plugs, but that's the problem. They sell them for so many different carburetors. They're different sizes, and we was worried. So he got me the closest he could get me, which is turning out to be the best, because the tighter the better. I think I needed more Vaseline on this one. Yeah. Let's get a little more Vaseline here. So, we don't want Vaseline in our fuel, so we're going to wipe it around the edge and smear it with our finger, because we don't want it on there. See what I did? And then wipe this piece off that goes up against the pilot jet. And see, it's all over the side, but not a lot, excessive. Petroleum jelly and gasoline makes napalm, baby. Just a little information in case you wanted to know. You can make napalm with a lot of things, but petroleum jelly is one of them. That one was not as easy. In there though, nice and good. It's not seated fully, but those, like you seen it, they was long. They're not coming out, believe me. And they was better than those plastic ones. Every time I took the bowl off, it was laying in there, and they were a half to half. Okay, now you got your 45. Goes here. Another 45 on the other side. This is probably the low speed idle jet, or low speed jet. I don't know, my mid jet, I don't know. Don't listen to me. And then we got our pushing jets, which one of those was falling out. I'm really happy about this. There we go. Yes. Thank you, Weimers. These are your mains, which are 140s. Yes, thank you, Weimers, dude. Man, local shop saves the day. And if you look, this O-ring was still pretty good, but this one wasn't. So I had one of them falling out. This one, I'm not going to say is in great shape, because it is disintegrated some. Okay, make sure your wrist pins, like I said, are even. We're going to go ahead and put our drain plug back in with our new O-rings. This is if you want to drain the fuel out of the bowl without taking the bowl off, which I hardly ever do. I always just drop the bowl. I don't know how tight to get that. I hope that was good. I over tighten these things all the time. Guess just get it tight and the rubber gasket will be smashed, huh? Not too tight. Alright. We're installing the bowls next. We'll wipe a little bit of that petroleum off. We don't need it. Always make sure your floats are working good before installation. Okay, from the front. Somebody has stripped out a couple of these, so a couple of these are nutted on. That's why I'm not going in diagonal. I have to go by where the holes are stripped out. I'm trying to remember which ones are which. But I'm not tightening them down yet, so that's good. We're coming up on a strip one here. So all we got left to do is the slides after this. Put the slides back in and put it on the bike and go for a ride. Alright, then we're going to flip it around. That's how I remember it. Like this. Definitely strip. And that sucks, but at least there's room for a little nut on the back side. I didn't strip it, somebody else did. Not sure who. Just received it like this. Oh yeah. Hold on, folks. Forgetting the idle arm. Sorry if you can't see, this one little nut's being a pain in the ass. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Alright. Putting the last two in, then we're going to flip it over and do the slides. Tighten your bolts down on your carburetor. Alright, the bowls are on. I hear the floats working. It's always good. So now we're going to do the slides. There's a groove in one side. Goes on the left side. And you want that needle, well, hold it up straight so the needle goes down into the guide. Because just because you got the thing on the side then doesn't mean that that needle is going to go in the guide. So hold it straight up. Same thing, guide's on the left. But we're going to take them back off because you got to put the gaskets on first. If you go to clean it with brake cleaner, take your gaskets out so you don't eat your gaskets up. These are paper gaskets. Alright, slides back in again. If they don't slide good, they got corrosion on them, you need to clean them up lightly. About done here. Put your spring on. There you go. Screw number one, screw number two. Cherry carburetors. Spring. The cap is also a guide that goes down on this post. So you put it on, you gotta get the spring onto here, it seats onto this butted part. Make sure it's good. Make sure you get on that good. And then after you're done, also check your slides with your finger inside the throat. Make sure they go up, down, and especially back down. That's what I was telling you. If they got white corrosion or any kind of buildup, they'll stick. And it'll cause a sticky little throttle. Cause it to do weird things. Not necessarily a sticky throttle, but when you give it gas, it won't come back down from the RPMs. I believe these are 28 millimeter Mikunis. So when you're done, like I was saying, make sure your slides go up and down on their own. Alright, so we are going to bolt this on the car, on the go-kart. Been working on cars too much. We're going to bolt this on the Mad Max machine and hopefully go for a ride, guys. I'll see you here later. That's how to rebuild, well, not necessarily, well, rebuild or clean your carburetor. Goes for about all of them. Alright, later.